Iran mourns, America strikes. Kirk murder suspect confesses. Texas tuition ban upheld. And Spain wildfire kills 11. Greetings, humanity! Let's grok the news. We cover the world's headlines, but first, a deep dive into the most important story in the world today. Dateline, Washington, D.C. The United States launched fresh strikes on Iranian targets overnight after Tehran attacked commercial vessels in the Strait of Hormuz, shattering a fragile ceasefire. President Trump declared the Memorandum of Understanding with Iran over and called the regime out of control. Iranian state media reported explosions near nuclear sites and port facilities, including Bushehr, Chabahar, Bandar Abbas, and Jask. Tehran responded with missile fire toward Gulf states. The escalation came as Iran buried its late Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei in Mashhad. Thousands filled the streets chanting "Death to America" and "Death to Israel," with some vowing to kill Trump. U.S. officials said the strikes targeted military infrastructure linked to the vessel attacks. Oil prices climbed, of course. Global markets dipped, of course, on fears of prolonged disruption through the Strait of Hormuz. This marks the second round of direct U.S.-Iran exchanges in days. President Trump briefed Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu by phone on American moves in the Gulf. The burial of Khamenei signals a potential shift from theocratic to more nationalistic military leadership in Tehran. We will see. Regional analysts warn the cycle risks wider instability involving the Gulf states, Russia, and China, assuming everyone just loses their minds. The NATO Secretary General praised the U.S. moves as necessary, while stressing alliance unity on defense spending. The story is developing rapidly, with diplomats urging de-escalation, even as military activity continues. The White House says it remains open to diplomacy, but will defend vital interests and allies. Global markets, energy security, and great power dynamics are all in play as the world watches what comes next in this volatile region. In this observer's opinion, it's time to finish the job. I'm Robert Gardner, using GROK each weekday to truthfully summarize the news, and you get it with my opinion, too. We review a roundup of the most critical reports in the world right after this. M.S. Gardner, that's my wife. She's author of Wolf's Bane. It's a dark, serious, modern take on an old fairy tale. You've never seen Red Riding Hood like this. It's a story for adults now, a page-turning Southern Gothic, soon-to-be classic. Wolf's Bane, available now at thecuriousauthor.com or amazon.com. Now, we grok the news with headlines from around the world. Dateline, Austin, Texas. A federal appeals court has upheld a ruling ending in-state tuition for illegal immigrants at Texas public colleges and universities. Judges found the practice violates federal law. The decision strengthens border states' authority over education benefits and could influence similar policies elsewhere. Supporters say that it is protecting taxpayer resources for citizens and legal residents. Dateline, Portland, Maine. Democratic Senate candidate Graham Plattner has indeed suspended his campaign. A fancy way of saying I'm quitting, but not quitting. After new sexual allegations are surfaced, party leaders called the claims serious red flags. They didn't find them serious before. They were previously overlooked, as long as Plattner was leading in the polls. Democrats now scramble to find a replacement against incumbent Senator Susan Collins. Polls now show Collins holding a narrow lead in the key race. And this observer believes that's all you need to understand about this hypocrisy with the Democratic Socialists putting forth a Nazi and the Democratic Party willing to take it as long as it looked like he was a winner. Dateline, Madrid, Spain. At least 11 people are dead and 19 still missing after a fast-moving wildfire tore through southern Spain amid a severe heat wave. Firefighters battled flames near villages where some victims were found inside vehicles. The disaster highlights growing risks across Europe during this record summer heat wave. Dateline London, England. The historic Bayeux Tapestry has arrived in Britain for the first time in nearly 1,000 years under tight security. The medieval embroidery depicting the Norman conquest is now at the British Museum for a special exhibition. Officials call the secret transfer a major cultural event. This observer will note that the Norman conquest was the last time that the British people faced a major invasion and lost. Dateline Beijing. China has successfully recovered the first stage of its Long March 10B reusable rocket after a maiden launch. State media showed the booster landing vertically on a sea platform. The milestone advances Beijing's push to rival SpaceX in cost-effective space access and military applications. Dateline Houston, Texas. A large protest erupted after a federal officer fatally shot a man during a traffic stop. Authorities say the victim was not the intended ICE target. The man's family, of course, demanded answers, while DHS reviewed body camera footage. Tensions remain high in the sanctuary city. In this observer's opinion, there should be no such thing as a sanctuary city. The individual politicians who are promoting those policies are, in the opinion of this observer, they are insurrectionists. They should be charged and booked for it. And this creates the climate in which there can be unintended victims. This observer would also like to see the body camera footage. Somebody wasn't acting right. Somebody wasn't obeying orders. Wait and see. Dateline New York, New York. A parasitic outbreak of cyclosporiasis has grown to more than 1,000 cases across multiple states. Health officials link the intestinal illness to contaminated produce. Virginia and Maryland also report clusters of infection. Experts caution, wash your fresh fruits and vegetables this summer. Dateline Kiev. Ukraine and the United States reached a political agreement on licensing for Patriot missile production. President Zelensky said the technical details must still be finalized. The deal aims to boost Kiev's long-term defense industry amid ongoing conflict with Russia. Dateline Washington, D.C. The Air Force revoked more than 100 promotions after a major testing error. Officials described it as an integrity issue. The move affects personnel records and highlights accountability standards within the military services. Dateline Palm Beach, Florida. Palm Beach International Airport has officially been renamed Donald J. Trump International Airport. The FAA approved the change, honoring President Trump's strong Florida support. Local leaders held a ceremony marking the new designation. Dateline Jakarta. Indonesia has rolled out its B50 biodiesel mandate, requiring a 50% palm oil blend in diesel fuel. The policy is expected to boost domestic palm oil demand and support the farmers. Officials say it advances energy sovereignty goals. Dateline Damascus, Syria. Syrian authorities arrested Islamic State-linked suspects in recent Damascus bombings. The attacks occurred during a high-profile visit. Officials say the cell planned further strikes. The arrests come as the country tries to stabilize after years of conflict. President Trump is moving to take Syria off of the terrorist list. Dateline Seoul. South Korea's top court has upheld a 7-year sentence for former President Yoon. The ruling closes a major chapter in the nation's political turmoil. Yoon's supporters protested while opponents welcomed the decision on corruption and abuse of power charges. Dateline Berlin. Germany has reached a deal with the United States to purchase long-range Tomahawk missiles. Chancellor Friedrich Merz announced the agreement to bolster European defenses since they can't make any of their own. The purchase reflects growing NATO focus on conventional deterrent capabilities. Dateline New York, New York. The state has sued 3M, DuPont, and other companies over so-called forever chemicals contaminating water supplies. The lawsuit seeks cleanup costs and damages. Officials say the PFAS compounds pose long-term public health risks. Well, if true, then good for them. Dateline Brussels, Belgium. NATO leaders continue stepping up defense spending commitments. Alliance leaders praised recent increases, while President Trump urged even faster progress. Discussions emphasized burden sharing and readiness against great power threats from Russia and China. Dateline Washington, D.C. Former Olympian David Hearn pleaded not guilty to charges of vandalizing the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. The case involves allegations of deliberate damage at a national monument. Trial proceedings are expected later this year. For what it's worth, this observer does not believe that David Hearn was seriously trying to vandalize the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. He saw some of the footage. I just don't think that the guy was trying to do harm. Dateline, Austin, Texas. The U.S. Justice Department sued Maryland over its sanctuary policies. Good. Federal officials argue that the state is hindering immigration enforcement. Exactly. The case tests limits of local resistance to national border security priorities. Once again, this observer believes that sanctuary cities are illegal and those who promote them should go to jail. And I thank you for listening. Please join me Monday to once again grok the news. I'm Robert Gardner. Godspeed and God bless.